message is something I've been talking about a lot lately. It's like they say, what goes around comes around. If you give, you'll eventually receive. If I give, it comes back to me 2 or 3 times. So it's all about karma, you know? Is it really true? And if it is, how does it work? Today, I'm gonna break it down for you. Adam Grant, a professor at Wharton School and one of the most respected researchers in organizational psychology, analyzed insights hidden in his book, Give and Take, along with my own thoughts. First off, he looked at the people at the bottom of the ladder of success in different professions. For example, in the world of engineering, who do you think are the least productive and most inefficient technicians? Yep, the givers. Sounds weird, right? Unfortunately, that's what they found. After studying hundreds of specialized technicians in California, man, the results today were really something. I mean, what were they even trying to say with these research results? It might not make sense at first, but if you listen carefully until the end, you'll really understand the meaning clearly. Specifically, in the world of engineers, the rookies at the bottom of the ladder scored the lowest in various aspects, like tactical reports, during production, and they made mistakes, missed deadlines, and even caused financial losses to the company. They were so busy helping others that they couldn't finish their own work properly. It's not just in the engineering world. Even in a study involving 600 medical students in Belgium with government assistance, similar results were found. The students with the lowest grades generally liked helping others or thinking ahead about what others need. They were more likely to agree to statements like that. These friends even sacrificed their study time during exams to teach their friends something they already knew. The sales department was no different. The author goes on to explain further. With the help of Carolina, almost all the sales representatives in that area were surveyed, and the results showed that Giver's sales performance is much lower compared to Taker. Taker is the one who receives rather than gives, while Giver strives to balance losses and gains. Those who only work for what they receive are known as takers. Anyway, the sales performance of Taker Giver was 2.5 times lower. They were so worried about what would be best for consumers that they couldn't actively sell their products. Therefore, the author concludes from this study that in some professions, givers tend to be overly considerate too, trusting of others and willing to accept disadvantages to benefit others. Compared to takers, givers have an average income that is 14 lower, are twice as likely to become victims of scams, and are rated 22 lower in skills and influence. The author was extremely frustrated by this and remembers their closest professional investor. They're already too kind-hearted, which may have led to recent disappointments. Man, I totally blew a great business investment opportunity. Here's how it went down one sunny afternoon on the weekend. I took my kid to the playground, and wouldn't you know it, there was this dude, let's call him B, who was playing with his kid at the same time. We didn't really know each other, just crossed paths at the playground every now and then. But on that day, for some reason, it was just us two dads and our kids at the playground. Naturally, we started chatting, and I was shocked to find out that we had experience working in the Amazon and had started multiple companies, selling them off to big global corporations for a hefty profit. And did this, he was gearing up to start his fourth company. It was pure luck that we met at the playground. And from B's perspective, meeting me was lucky too, turns out. I have a knack for investing and have a track record of success that has caught the attention of many investment firms. It was a moment of mutual recognition, you know? Talking excitedly about their new business, they made plans to meet again soon. They decided to discuss the specific details of their project at that time. When they met again and made proper arrangements, they had a conversation like this. The problem they are trying to solve with this new business is simple, but groundbreaking. Many Americans don't have bank accounts or credit cards, causing issues with online purchases. They are determined to solve this. When we explained the solution and business model, I was truly impressed. I immediately introduced me to their company partners and even handed over investment contracts on the spot. This opportunity was too good to miss, so I and these partners were eager. With so many potential investors interested in the idea, it was hard to decide whose hand to shake. I advised their partners not to hesitate and to quickly sign the contracts, as there would surely be many others rushing in. They reminded their partners that we are not the only ones limiting investments, and that other investors are also eager to spend their money. It's really mind-blowing how valuable it is for us to put our money into things that don't matter, right? From the perspective of our partners, it's like music to their ears. In the world of venture investment firms, good business ideas are like a rare gem. So when they come across one, they give a ridiculously short deadline to prevent the idea from being spread around too much. And they present attractive restrictions as a kind of rule. But here, takes a completely different approach. He doesn't demand a quick answer like them does, but rather advises to thoroughly compare and review the restrictions of other investors. Then, he only provides a list of 40 recommenders who can prove how influential he is as an investor and concludes the meeting. And the list of recommenders he gives? It's a list of 40 prominent owners of reputable companies recommending him. What does this list signify? It shows how selflessly he has supported and nurtured venture entrepreneurs for decades, sweating it out. He is confident that this list will attest to his abilities and character. But a few weeks later, I heard some shocking news from Be Sorry. I signed a contract with other investors. Actually, there wasn't a big difference in the financial terms offered by the other investors. The only difference was that the list of 40 recommended individuals they sent me. When I received that list, I was honestly surprised. The recommended individuals were mostly successful, entrepreneurs well known to the public. And just seeing that list made it even clearer that they were really outstanding people. So why didn't I choose that? It's because I've always met investors who push themselves aggressively. Soen's generosity, which is completely opposite to that attitude, seemed a bit weak. That's why I chose an advisor with a style of pushing myself strongly. From his perspective, they just continued as usual without any changes. I was really shocked by the results. And then I told the author, I must be a fool to have seen it coming. The other investors also urged me loudly to quickly sign the investment contract. I would have signed it if it wasn't for the men. What's this? It's like all the hard work and investment I've put in over the past 10 years doesn't mean anything. It seems like I've learned a lesson that if you show consideration in this matter, you'll end up in last place. But is that really true? By the way, the author, along with news, is now studying the group of people at the top of the success ladder. After finishing research on the group at the bottom, if everyone is at the bottom, then who exactly is occupying the top? That was the author's constant concern. And then, when the research results came in, the author was extremely surprised. They discovered an amazing pattern at the top of the success ladder. There was only deception. According to the earlier mentioned content, the least productive technicians were lazy, but surprisingly, the most productive technicians were lazy as well. However, amazingly, this pattern appeared consistently across all professions. In a study of medical students in Belgium, even those with very high grades and doctors who earned the most income were ultimately lazy, even in sales. The best performers in the workplace are ultimately the givers. They are the ones who have been consistently achieving 50 higher results than the takers and matchers. So it turns out that those who give more to their colleagues or consumers end up in the top positions. The success of these givers was so unstoppable that even the matchers couldn't compete. It was a warning sign, you know? The givers were completely at the opposite ends of the spectrum, holding on to both the highest and lowest productivity levels. The takers and matchers were positioned somewhere in the middle of the success ladder. The author analyzes this situation in two ways. First, among the givers, there are those who fail and those who succeed. Second, as all professions are connected to service, the chances of givers' success have exponentially increased. Now, the most intriguing question is, what exactly was the difference between the failing givers and the successful givers? Canadian psychologists Jeremy Primer and Larry Walker conducted an ambitious project to uncover the differences between the highly successful givers and the failing givers. So they told everyone in the study to write down their life goals and then collected them all to analyze. They divided people's personalities based on the words used in those lists. The results showed that there were 4 main types of personalities. The first type is like the picture. You see now, with no interest in others or their own benefits. The second type is very interested in others' benefits, but not in their own. The third type is very interested in their own benefits, but not in others. We call this type selfish. And the last type is very interested in both their own and others' benefits. People in the second and fourth types wrote expressions about volunteering and donating 3 times, more than those in the first and third types. So where does the difference between a failed giver in the second type and a successful giver in the fourth type come from? People in the fourth type often have achieved great success in their field or have a high income. These are the ones who. So basically, they're saying that compared to the failed year groups, they wrote about achieving personal accomplishments and influence about 20 more. They're saying that amazing results are achieved through research. People usually think that personal and others' interests are connected, so they tend to prioritize others' interests over their own. They believe that if you prioritize your own interests, you should consider others' interests less important and vice versa. But surprisingly, your interests and others' interests are independent. We can have both. So how can we pursue our own interests and others' interests together? The author conducted research by working in various professions and industries and found that success in the league requires a certain gear tendency, whether innate or acquired. They often said things like that. Let me know if you need any help with that. Do you think there's something important here or not? I mean, when people ask, is it there? They usually tend to agree with the last thing they heard. So if you ask, is it not there? They often say no. And if you ask, is it there? They say yes more often. So to figure out someone's true intentions, you just need to pay attention to how they ask questions. Anyway, people who often say these kinds of things are usually very likely to succeed. However, most people fall into 3 traps and end up becoming unsuccessful. The 3 traps that lead to failure instead of success are trusting people too much, empathizing too much, and being overly timid. Falling into these traps can lead to a disaster where you end up sacrificing your own benefit for the benefit of others. So the key is to avoid these 3 traps, but it's easier said than done. It's actually really difficult, especially considering how challenging it is to even possess the mindset for success in the first place. Having a mindset that benefits me at the same time requires a very high level of mindset. The author emphasizes that despite that, in the future, all occupations will ultimately be connected to service, so the success of gear is obvious. Our grandparents' generation engaged in producing something independently, while modern people have a higher percentage of occupations providing services to others. In fact, most occupations are becoming more service-oriented. This was well demonstrated in a study targeting Belgian medical students. According to the results of the study on Belgian medical students, most students had poor grades in their first year of admission, but this was only in the first year. From the second year, they started to slightly outperform their peers, and by the 6th year of attending school, the GEAR group had significantly better grades. The relationship between your altruistic behavior and grades was more accurate than the relationship between smoking and lung cancer. So as you progress in grade and build your skills, you will have internship patience. So as the program changes through the process of treatment, the more it changes, the more the group's grades and income have improved. That's why Nobel laureate in economics, Herbert Simon, says that those who only care about their own interests are foolish, altruists who cannot take care of their own interests at all. They may not know how to be less altruistic, but they are foolish altruists and selfish people, which are much more desirable existences in the world. So what happened to investor that we looked at earlier? Did I keep failing just by being considerate? No, because I was a considerate altruist who also had the ability to take care of their own interests. We regretted it immediately. Why does it feel so uncomfortable? Even the current gold investors are really bright and talented people, but can I afford to miss out on an opportunity to work with someone who cared for me? After much consideration, despite the obstacles from the original choice, I proposes to come and join as an investor, fully prepared to give it their all and make the business a success. They explored possible directions and helped out, and later on, they confessed this way. Apparently, Azability was completely hidden behind a warm personality. That's how his new company was launched. The company signed service contracts with giant retail companies, including 7-Eleven, and from the first year and 6 months since its establishment, they recorded a growth rate of over 30 every month. And now, B has made it onto as list of 40 recommendations. Since as value has skyrocketed, just being on as list of recommenders has become an honor. And whenever other entrepreneurs reached out to Boof for advice, they were too busy praising him. The author, after observing all these situations, comes to this conclusion. Successful takers are just as ambitious as successful givers. They just pursue their goals in a different way. The belief that givers will just take kind-hearted steps without substance is a complete error. What makes givers successful? Well, at the end of the day, anyone who sets out to take can also succeed. Let's make one thing clear, of course. Givers' success pours out like a waterfall and spreads far and wide, showing a clear difference from the other two. Taker and Matcher. When a taker wins, there's usually a loser on the other side. According to research, people tend to envy takers' success, waiting for the day to knock them down and break their noses. On the other hand, when a giver succeeds, people not only don't shoot it down, but rather support and cheer for it. Remember this when everyone wants your victory. It becomes easier. Thank you for watching, and the Canadian Daddy is here for you.
Man, my crib is lit right now with someone right next to me choosing what to eat and doing what they want to do. It's dope to be at a level where I can do all this by myself. Most importantly, I'm grateful to myself for making all this happen. It all starts from there. Once you start being grateful, you can start giving. And once you change your mindset, you got to recognize your own worth and add some wealth formula to turn it into financial wealth. Remember, you got to break through just one thing. Once you do, money will flow like how you used to be satisfied with that level of salary. Instead of blocking your thoughts, remember that you don't want to deal with these kind of worries because you're used to being lazy and just relying on others for your time. In reality, everyone is wealthy. Those who don't know it versus those who do. People are unique and individual in their own special way. Everyone values themselves based on what they think is most important in their lives. Those who focus on turning their worth into material wealth or constantly chase after money are a minority. Out of 10 people, only 1 focuses on wealth, while the other 9 are not interested. Thinking that it's hard to make money is just a misconception. The reason why so many people struggle to make money is simply because of one thing. The author was once told by a teacher during a physical education class that they should stop trying to touch their toes, since they were naturally stiff and would never be able to do it. The author lived believing this until they took their first martial arts class as an adult. Even then, their belief in being inflexible remained, until they met a teacher who told them that if they stretched twice a day for a year, they would be able to touch their toes and even spread their legs wide and lean forward. He said it, and he actually did it. Making a lot of money is not that different from that. Literally, if you learn how other people make money and model their common traits before you know it, you'll be able to possess the characteristics of those talented individuals as well. So as long as you're not a scammer, it's fine to refer to stories of people who have made money in various legitimate ways. Because once you listen, you'll start to think of ways to combine your values and money. The problem is just that you haven't learned how to make money yet. You simply haven't had the chance to learn about it or been exposed to such a system. And you haven't earned a significant amount of money. Originally, you have to work hard at something. Even if you're not making a ton of money right away, there's a period where you need to focus. People who have made money love and even respect money. So, when they thoroughly studied and observed the flow and laws of wealth, it's easy to choose between pizza and salad in a split second. In other words, spending money instantly. So basically, making quick money is easy because according to statistics, more than half of 54.4 of it comes from the pockets of the poor. In other words, people mostly spend money, turning it from something they own into something someone else owns. That's how transactions happen. And these transactions don't just involve money, they also involve ideas. Energy, inspiration, services, solutions, expectations, information, knowledge, and trust. It's all about exchanging value. You need to think about what value you bring in a trade and what value others get from dealing with you. If people feel like they're getting something out of it beyond just money, they'll see the trade as fair. But if they feel like the value is low, they'll see it as unfair. No one can sustain an unfair trade, and the money will leave in search of a fair one. Money just moves from the imaginary to the real, from ideas to actions, from the abstract to the physical, from material to mental, from mental to material. It keeps changing like this. Everyone takes exactly the share that matches their own value through this transaction. There's no lie here. Money simply moves from those who value it the least to those who value it the most. Energy flows where you focus, and results follow. Once again, the first step is to consciously, deliberately pay attention to your own value. How can you express that value? What have people told you to look for, or what are your strengths? No matter how abstract it may seem, when it comes to money, turn your value equation into wealth. Understand the method. Convert one value into a larger sum. You are already rich. People are rich in their own unique ways. If you can't feel it right now and you're dissatisfied, you need to search more. People want comfort and happiness, and they use money to buy it. People continuously exchange the energy hidden in money for something else. Colloquial translation: it's like a constant cycle, going from stuff to feelings, feelings to stuff. Everyone gets what they deserve through this deal, no lies here. Money just shifts from those who don't care much about it to those who really value it. Where you put your energy, that's where things happen. So the first step is to be aware of your own value, consciously pay attention to it. How can you show that value? What have people praised you for, or what are you good at? Even if it sounds abstract, when it comes to money, turn your value into wealth. Get the method. Turn one value into a bigger sum. You're already rich. Everyone is rich in their own way. If you don't feel it now and you're not happy, you need to look harder. People just want to feel good, and they use money to get it. People are always trading the energy in money for something else. It's all about finding products and services that make your life better. Increase the energy density of your values, and the money will follow. Today's money is just tomorrow's money waiting to happen. Most people focus on saving, which is cool for maintaining financial health, but remember, saving is just the first step toward getting rich. You can't increase your money flow just by saving energy. So where should you spend your money? Where can you invest that energy to get it back in the best way possible? Think about it. Remember, money comes from people, not things. Where is your money energy flowing? Are you focusing on others' needs before your own? Have you ever thought about selling what others want, not just what you want to sell? Finding a balance between these extremes is key, or else the natural flow and speed of money will be disrupted. Alright, so basically what you got to do is find a balance between your desires and other people's desires. If you want to do that, what attitude do you need to have? Well, if you don't give anything, you ain't gonna get anything back. Saving is important, but you can't just save and do nothing else. That's the paradox of money. In the end, money starts in your mind. Your thoughts about money manifest in physical form in front of you. Money ultimately comes from people, not things, and it comes from you, not others. It all comes down to your attitude. Remember, who you are today is who you wanted to be a long time ago. And are you enjoying all the best things you wished for in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years? That future you is the person you wanted to be today. Thanks for watching, and Canadian Daddy is always here for you.